Hi. Hi. I'm Dezzi Pixels, and I help artists find clients and build businesses online. In this week's post, we're going to recap all the information we talked about in the previous weeks and put together our brand book. Stay tuned. Here are the topics we will be going over today. What is a brand book? What goes into a brand book? And how we'll use that book to help you out in the future. We'll take all this information and next week we'll go over how you can use that to make your brand identifiers, i.e. your logos, websites, and copy. Now, for the first section, what is a brand book? A brand book is a collection of all the information we discussed over the previous weeks and includes your market landscape as well as your brand strategy guidelines. Making the actual book, I would suggest printing out the information that we've done for the previous homeworks. Get you a little binder and bind those or clip them, put them in there. Whatever is the best presentation for you to easily reference and go back to, that's what you want to do with your brand book. Now, let's talk about what goes into your brand book. Alright, so as we were talking about in the previous section, this is where we're keeping all that information that we spent all these weeks going over. So to give you just a quick rundown of what you should have in there is your internal brand. That will be the audience discovery worksheet that I had you guys start putting together from the first video. The next will be your audience persona document. As talked about before, this gives you a blueprint of your ideal client that you're trying to target your efforts towards. Next, you will have your competitive analysis. This is important because you want to keep in mind how you're separating yourself from your competitors. And as we move further into developing your brand deliverables, as well as really carving out your niche and your voice, coming back here to make sure that you're differentiating yourself is going to be vitally important. And these three documents are what makes up your market landscape. And these next makes up your brand strategy guidelines. So for this section, you will have your unique positioning strategy. From looking at your competitors again and your audience persona, you should know how at this point how you're going to position yourself differently than your competitors in reference to your audience persona. The next will be your human brand persona. And that's nothing except what we were just talking about, solidified and wrote down. That's how you separate yourself from the market. Your human brand persona is how you're going to talk to your audience, how you're going to make content for them, the messages you're going to be focusing on. And then that gets us to our next one, which is our messaging framework. Having all these documents together will give you your market landscape and your brand strategy guidelines. You want to keep these together, bound, and easily accessible, because this is a living document that you will update during the whole time that you're operating as a business. Next, how will we use this book to help you in the future? Now, we've already been going through it a little bit as we've been explaining what goes in your book, but this book is to give you consistency and a plan, so when you're knee deep in doing your products and services, this is an information that you need to think about again. Now, that being said, this is by no means a static document. You should always be vigilant of what's going on in the market and the changes that are going on with your audience. You want to update this document anytime any major shift happens in the market, or if you just haven't done it for a couple years, because these markets, these niches and all that tend to shift over time. So you want to stay current and know of the current trends of what's going on, so you're not stuck with a plan that worked 5 years ago, but that does not help you now. And so when we have this book, and in the later weeks, what this book is going to do for you, when we go and start breaking down your logos, websites, naming your business, and all that, these are the documents that will really help us nail down what is the purpose of each one of those artworks. Because when we start getting more in depth about talking about designing all of your brand identifiers, the main goal of each piece is going to be to tell your client how you can best help them. To tell your client that this is the place for someone like you to come to for help. So you want to make sure that all your brand copy, logos, identifiers, and all that are all aligned towards this goal, so you're not just wasting effort shooting into the dark hoping something randomly sticks. Now, next week for your homework. Well, of course, for this week, your homework is going to be to put together your brand book. Please go back, reference the other videos that we've done in this series if you need a refresher on what it is, or if you haven't done the homework for that section. Don't worry if this also is one of the first videos that you've gotten in and just learned about this information. Make sure you subscribe, make sure that you sign up for the newsletter, because the next weeks I am going to put together a template packet that includes a quick reference for all the documents that we talked about in this video. I'm gonna put them together in a nice easy template where you can just go in and fill in the information and just make your brand book from there. Now, I feel that you should do that right now still, because I'm going to be talking about all this other different concepts and everything moving forward, and having that already done is going to be really helpful and cut out a lot of work and thinking in the beginning. But again, if you need that, will be available for you soon, so make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and do all that stuff. So anyways, this has been your girl Dezzi Pixels. Thanks for joining me this week for our little tidbit, our little catch-up section. As always, in the comments down below, go and leave any suggestions you have, any topics you would like to see covered, because I have a curriculum that I want to put on here, but I did leave space to cover special topics and interests that other people might find interesting and want to talk about. Because I really enjoy doing these videos. This has been super fun. After this one, this will be it for the straight up written brand strategy portion of our talks, and we're going to start moving into the more artsy part, which is the fun parts and whatnot, because I know all of you are nice creative people and you want to get started in making your websites, want to get started in making your logos and making all your promotional materials, because to me that's the fun part of doing marketing and stuff like that, is after you get together all the writing and research and all that, is actually doing practical things with them and making actual art and creative assets to actually help you with your financial business and all that, and that's just great and I love it. So anyways, thanks for joining me for section 1 being done, and this has been your girl Desiree, and I'm out, bitches. Bye.